Phil, you live locally. You saw something 4 years ago. What was it?
Well, at the time, a friend and I were observing Grangemouth, which is about 10 miles away. It was a project we were doing for light and dark at college, and we had noticed two small dim lights in the distance over beside Kincardine. They were in the sky. It was above the hill line, and we were observing the lights coming towards us because we wanted to see what would happen, you know, with the lights being against the sky. And the lights came over Grangemouth, and the object that they were attached to hovered above Grangemouth Stadium. And
couldn't it have been a plane? I mean,
no.
It was late at night.
Well, I mean, I've never seen a plane hover, apart from certain planes, but
were you very scared? How did you feel?
At the time, I didn't really feel anything, but after the event, the object turned and it swooped down over our heads. And when I saw the object that close, there was no way I could have said it was a plane or a helicopter, because basically there was practically no noise from the object.
Now, you did take a picture that you sent away to be investigated.
Yeah.
You haven't had it back, I know,
No.
but what did they say?
Well, basically they said it was very spectacular, probably the best photograph I've seen in a long time.
Andrew, you have a similar story, don't you? What happened to you?
Well, I was up Murienside Country Park, right, and I seen this object and it was hovering, and I had my video camera there, so I hovered it and I watched the thing for about 2 or 3 minutes.
How big was it?
It was fair distance, and it like be a 1 pence, then it doubled in size to the size of a 2 pence. Then a couple of minutes later, it was joined by a second object, which come down and veered off till it was level. And both of them doubled in size, and they hovered to, it was a brilliant white light. And the first object slowly moved away and disappeared, but there was no sound off them at all. The second object hovered for a wee while and it slowly moved away and disappeared again.
These are incredible tales. Oh, you also sent your video to be investigated, and you were told there were no aircrafts in the area at that time?
No, the Ministry of Defence said there were no military air traffic out. Edinburgh Airport said there were nothing on radar, and there were no private airplanes out or any helicopters in the area at that time. Okay.
Councillor Buchanan, you're being told these stories all the time. Why is this happening here in Bonnybridge?
Well, this is the big question, and I say, well, why Bethlehem? Why the pyramids in Egypt? But I think we've got to have a sense of realism here. We're talking about a small area in the central belt of Scotland. This isn't a Steven Spielberg film set.
Sounds like it.
No, this is the real world. For 5 years now, we've had continuous sightings of UFOs. Now, a UFO is an unidentified flying object. We're not talking about wee green men and spacemen and people coming from other planets. We're talking about genuine concern for the people in these communities that have continuously seen things in the sky, objects, bright lights, they can't define as being a rational explanation. And this is what I'm concerned about, and we're all trying to get an answer to what it really is.
You'd like a government inquiry, wouldn't you?
I would. I wrote to the Prime Minister at the time, John Major, about 3 years ago, after there were 800 sightings. I received a letter back from the Minister of Defence stating there was nothing in Bonnybridge that was a threat to national security. Now we're into a situation with over 3,000 sightings. And what they said in a letter to me only a fortnight ago is that if you can come up with something tangible, this is what they're saying, then we maybe come in and have a look. Now, if 3,000 people out of a population of over 9,000 people in this small area have said that they've seen something that they can't define as being a conventional aircraft, well, I think it's time the government was in here.
Have you got any explanation yourself? I mean, is this area close to anything that might cause strange objects in the sky?
Well, the thing is, the people in this area can see aircrafts day and night. We're equidistant between Glasgow and Edinburgh airports. 2.5 miles up the road at Cumbernauld we have an airport. People are used to seeing aircraft day and night and helicopters. They know the difference between a conventional aircraft and some of the things that's been described, as my two colleagues here have said this morning, triangular-shaped things. You mentioned yourself cigar-shaped things. Now, at the end of the day, we've got to say that these aren't conventional aircraft.
Phil, you were a UFO sceptic, weren't you, before you saw something?
I was always interested, but as a sceptic, as you say, but when I saw this, it's definitely changed me.
Would you accept a rational explanation, or do you think that you're looking for an extraterrestrial answer?
I just really want to know what it is, where it's coming from. You know, that's just my thoughts just now, anyway.
Well, whatever it is, it's not explained yet. I know that you'd like an answer.
This area above Bonnybridge here is commonly known as the flight path. In this area, over the past 5 years, I would say that about 75% of the UFO sightings have taken place. If you look at the back here, there's radio telecommunications masts on the road going to Slamanan, and there's been many sightings and a lot of activity in that area. What the significance of those masts are, I don't know, but I think they've got a relevance. It was in this very road about 5 years ago, I think it was late October, when the first real encounter took place, when a local businessman had encountered an object that was hovering above here and came to my house that night. I could see that he was very upset, and I think he was a bit frightened, and it was from there that we put a small article in the local paper to see if anybody else had a similar incident, and that's when it all happened. After the first week we had over 400 people coming forward saying they had seen something similar, and that's where the UFO phenomenon in Bonnybridge really began.
We've had quite a lot of experiences. The first time it happened, my eldest son came into the house. He had been followed by something, and my daughter-in-law filmed it, and it was really quite scary. Really bright light, moving slowly, no noise. It can last quite a long time, and then it just disappears. So since then we've sort of been looking for different things and trying to find answers, but nobody will give us an answer.
This is a film that I shot in November, and the bright light that you're actually watching now is the moon, and the object is moving to the right of the moon. And if you watch it closely, there's an object passes underneath it, and this is the type of thing that I video all the time. I see them week in, week out, and obviously it's got to the stage when I walk the dog, I take the video camera with me to video anything that I do see, and I must admit I have videoed a lot of strange objects in the sky. It would be interesting to find out what they are and why they're coming here to this area. I mean, why Bonnybridge? I don't know, I really don't know. It's weird actually. I mean, Bonnybridge is like a small community, there's not many people in it, but why are they coming here? There must be some reason.
Well, one man who thinks he has some of the answers to what people have been seeing up in the skies over Bonnybridge is ufologist Malcolm Robinson. Good morning.
Good morning.
Let's start with the video footage that we saw just there. What do you think of that?
Well, I think that particular piece of footage was actually an aircraft, viewed honestly but mistakenly, but that particular segment was indeed an aircraft.
And do you think that that's what's happening to most people around here, that they're seeing a bright light and thinking it's a UFO, but really it has a rational explanation?
Well, it can in most instances. People see things in the sky which they view honestly but mistakenly, but that family concerned have taken other video segments of objects in the sky which do not conform to aircraft, and I do believe that these are UFOs.
So they haven't got a rational explanation at all. Let's deal for a moment with the things that people are mistaking for UFOs.
Yes.
What other things could they be mistaking them for?
Well, it could be aircraft viewed in the sky at an angle with the sunlight striking off the fuselage. You can have birds, you can have satellites. There's a whole range of explanations to account for UFO sightings.
You think up to 95% of
Yes,
UFOs?
indeed. Yes, 95% of UFO objects sightings have natural identifiable solutions, which only leaves a remaining 5%. But that 5% is very, very puzzling.
Now, you've brought a film with you of a
Yes.
UFO that you think that you can't identify rationally.
Yeah.
We've got some footage here. If we have a look at it, explain to us what we're looking at here.
We're looking at a very bright, intense light in the sky, which is not a planet, which is not an aircraft. We checked with very many of the national airports to see if there were any aircraft in the vicinity of that sighting, and there were no aircraft in the vicinity of that given sighting.
And that's your job, isn't it?
It
To
is,
check
yes.
out any possible rational explanation.
It is indeed. We checked through the police, through the airports, through the Ministry of Defence, through meteorological stations to try and provide a rational explanation to account for any given sighting. One must always look at alternative explanations, the other side of the coin.
Well, our guest earlier, Phil Trevis, took a photograph that he gave to you.
Yes.
You've brought that along with you. Now, you again think you can't explain
It's a
this
good one.
photograph. Let's have a look at this. It's a a saucer that came
Well, what
across.
you're looking at is the underside of this object, and it's a very spectacular photograph, and it's consistent with what is being seen in this locality here in Bonnybridge. A very, very puzzling photograph.
Why do you think that it's happening here? Why Bonnybridge?
Well, it's a million-dollar question. You know, all we can safely say that Bonnybridge is, in UFO speak, is a hotspot or a window area which seems to attract a higher concentration of UFO reports than anywhere else. But why Bonnybridge? We don't know.
Well, it's certainly a phenomenon in the sense that lots of people have seen things they can't identify, whether you believe there's an extraterrestrial explanation or not. You feel the government should come up and investigate?
Almost certainly. I would like to see a government inquiry involved with the Bonnybridge phenomena. I'm sure that the British government know what's going on, and I would like to see them come up and get involved with this subject. There's something going on very tangible, very real in the Scottish skies. It demands explanation.
Well, the people here certainly need an answer soon. Thank you for talking to us this morning.
If you're just settling down for a cosy evening in front of the TV, spare a thought for a group of stalwart investigators preparing to go boldly where no UFO expert has been before. So many people in Bonnybridge in Stirlingshire have reported seeing unidentified flying objects that they've called in a crack team to monitor the skies tonight and find out what's going on. Alison MacDonald's been doing some investigating of her own.
When you think of UFOs, the town of Bonnybridge doesn't exactly spring to mind. But in recent months, local residents claim to have seen a variety of strange lights and objects which they just can't explain away.
It was like a boat shape at the bottom and had a dome in the middle with a red light and a clear light. But the clear light was brighter than the red light.
Well, about 6:30 last night, I came out of my house and I had turned round. It was flipping like a fog down on the ground. I was going along to my pals and I turned round to shut the door and I saw a big bright orange object up in the sky up this way. And it was, at first I actually thought it was one of the street lights, but it seemed brighter and had actually shouted to my niece and my 2 girls for to come and see about 4 times, and it was off dominant for about 10, maybe 15 minutes. And then all of a sudden it just seemed to disappear, sort of a thing. Whether it went right up or in a direction, but there were cars actually coming down and it was still staying dominant in that place.
These photos of alleged UFOs have been taken elsewhere. The people of Bonnybridge have no such proof to substantiate their claims.
You're on a flight path here, is it not just that it might be aeroplanes?
Oh, no, definitely, no, there were no signs of it.
No,
there wasn't one.
So what do you think you've seen?
UFO. That's what I'm thinking.
The sightings have attracted UFO enthusiasts from around Scotland. They've been interviewing witnesses and tonight plan to stake out the hills around the town to try and establish if there's life in the skies above Bonnybridge.
The Malcolm family's fascination with UFOs started by chance 2 years ago when they spotted a strange hovering object in the skies above Bonnybridge. Since then, they've notched up dozens of sightings. They filmed this shooting light outside their home last week. They no longer believe their sightings can be explained away, and they say this home video provides proof that there is extraterrestrial activity in the area.
I saw this object in the sky and it was like in 2 pieces and it was like pulsating. It was disappearing and then coming back and then disappearing, coming back. You know, it was so weird. It was not like nothing I'd ever seen before, you know. It's definitely not an aircraft though.
There has been over 1,000 sightings in the past 2 years, making Bonnybridge a world-renowned UFO hotspot. The government was asked to investigate last year. So far, no investigation has taken place. But the Malcolms say it's time residents' fears were taken seriously.
We've got the film now, we've got the evidence, you know. We just want answers. Simple, we just want answers.
And until their questions are answered, the Malcolms will continue to scan the skies for evidence. Rona Dougal, Sky News, Bonnybridge.